So students, today we'll continue with the topic that is air pollution. So this air pollution, it will continue with it. Next one, that is photochemical smog. Photochemical smog. What is photochemical smog? It is nothing but due to photochemical reaction of your nitrous oxide plus your hydrocarbons like and ozone plus hydrocarbon. All these will combine with each other along with fog that is present in the atmosphere. They give rise to a smog, and that smog is known as your photochemical smog. So photochemical smog is produced by a photochemical reaction with nitrous oxide, hydrocarbons, oxygen, as well as oxygen. It produces photochemical smog combining with your fog in the atmosphere. And this photochemical smog, what it will do means this causes reddening of eyes, redness of eyes. Next, nose. It causes reddening of eyes, nose, and not only that, throat irritation. It causes throat irritation as well as reduces vision. This reduces vision also, until we'll become slightly blind. Along with that, this causes breathing problems. Problems in breathing. So photochemical smog causes reddening of eyes, nose, throat, that is irritation of eyes, nose and throat, along with reducing the vision and problems in breathing. These also cause cough. Next, it causes heart diseases. These are caused because of this one. Now, this smog will be brownish smoke formed in the large cities with high amount of automobile traffic. It also damages trees. That means it will be brown in color in cities. Example is your Delhi. Delhi is the highly polluted city in India, and it is filled with photochemical smog only. Next, coming to the metals. We'll see the metals. The metals also released into the atmosphere from the industries. They also cause irritation or some dangerous effects in the health, and also cause human health hazards. First one is, we'll see mercury. All of you know, we have discussed it many times. Mercury is released from the cosmetic industries. Next, it is released from fungicide industries. Next, paints industries, from paint industries, paper pulp industry. This mercury is released into the environment, and once this mercury is released into the environment, it causes liver damage, eye damage, next nervous damage, as well as it causes immediately you feel headache, fatigue. Fatigue means nothing but it is laziness in your body. Next, anxiety. You will feel anxiety, and this leads to loss of appetite. You will become very, very weak. Okay, so mercury is released into the atmosphere from cosmetic industry, fungicide industry, paint industry, and paper pulp industry. When it is released in higher concentration into the atmosphere, it leads to liver diseases, eye diseases, nervous disorder. Next, the immediate effect of mercury in the atmosphere is causing headache, fatigue, that is laziness, and anxiety. You will feel anxiety, and this leads to loss of appetite, and you will become very, very weak. Next, coming to the lead, that is PB. Lead is released from the lead halide industries. Next, from the tannery industries also this lead is released, and this causes damage to your red blood cells, damage to your kidneys, damage to liver, that is RBC are damaged. That means their lifespan is for 120 days. Before that 120 days only, within 50 to 60 days only, the RBC gets damaged or they will be killed, apoptosis takes place. And next one is this kidney will be damaged in the humans along with the liver damage also is caused because of these lead released into the industry, into the environment. This lead is released from smelters, refineries. This is released into the atmosphere by smelters and refineries. Next one is coming to the effects of your air pollution. That is concluding remarks. Effects of air pollution as well as how to control, what are the controlling measures of air pollution. First, effects of air pollution. Once air is polluted, that leads to human hazards, that is breathing problem. Avuna kada, first galilo change vachindi ante that leads to breathing problems. Next, that leads to your your breathing problems will be observed. Next, bronchitis, asthma. These are generally seen when the air is polluted. Not only that, fish will be reduced. Fish population is reduced because of acid rains. Fish population reduced because of acid rains. Next, because of acid rains, the historical monuments like Taj Mahal, it gets damaged because of the corrosion of the marble. Next one is it reduces photosynthesis. First, second, third, fourth, fifth is photosynthesis is reduced. Once photosynthesis is reduced, oxygen is reduced in the environment. Oxygen concentration reduced in the environment. Next one, Taj Mahal gets damaged because of corrosion of the marble by means of acid rains. Next, it reduces the growth of yield of crops. Yield of crop is reduced, is lowered. Next application is, its dangerous effects are, it leads to increase in the flies and mosquitoes. Increases. Flies and mosquitoes increases in the environment. Next, the next one is, it leads to your global warming. 11th one, crop yield is reduced. Monsoon rains are lowered. Okay. Next one is blue-green algae. That is Nosta, Cannabina, Oscillatoria. Blue-green algae. They play an important role in ecological balance. They are killed. What is the use of blue-green algae? They balance they help in the maintenance of ecological balance. These are killed because of these acid rains. Next one is the calcium and potassium in soil is leached away because of soil erosion. Because of soil erosion, the calcium, potassium in the soil gets leached away so that the crop yield will be reduced. These are a few effects of your air pollution. If anything comes into your mind, you can write all those effects also. Now coming to the control measures. What are the control measures of air pollution? The control measures of air pollution are, we have to reduce the sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide emission from the industries. These should be reduced. They should be reduced from the industries. Next, second one is burning of coal should be reduced. That is, burning of fossil fuel like coal should be reduced. Coming to the next one is the motor vehicles usage should be reduced. You have to use electric vehicles instead of these petroleum and diesel vehicles. Vehicles should be reduced. Next application, next measure is simple measures. See here, the schools and colleges should be, restaurants should be located away from the busy streets so that they won't be throwing the garbage. See here, garbage will be regularly thrown from the restaurants, or you can call it as hotels. So this garbage will lead to air pollution. So this, the hotels, schools and your houses should not be near the busy streets so that pollution can be reduced. Next one is garbage should be burnt, or it should be left in open. Sorry, garbage should be left in open. You should not burn it. When you are burning the garbage, that will release organic, that is carbon dioxide is released into the environment, which is nothing but your greenhouse gas, which leads to global warming. So garbage should be left open so that it will get dried and it is not releasing carbon dioxide. Next, windows and doors of the houses should be open so that fresh air should come into that, so that this fresh air keeps us healthy. Windows and doors should be open. Next one is the petroleum products usage should be reduced. Petroleum product usage should be reduced. Next one is your trees, plants should be grown. That is, planting trees should be encouraged so that they will clean the environment, or they are nothing but they are the lungs of the environment, of the earth. The plants are the lungs of the earth. So you have to grow the plants so that they will reduce the pollution. Along with that, see here, from the food processing industries, paint industries, pharmaceutical industries, and from the other textile industries, tannery industries, the pollutant should be recycled and they should be used and they should not be released into the environment. That is the next control measure. Next, the emission of, that is, measure should be devised to remove particulate matter from the industries and power plants that are entering the atmosphere. That means they should be cleaned, then only they should be used into the environment. All these are the measures that are these are the control measures to control air pollution. So this is about your air pollution. Now we'll see another pollution. We'll see another pollution, that is land pollution. Land pollution, in other words, it is also known as a soil pollution. This can also be called as a soil pollution. This is nothing but, this is defined as a contamination of soil with pollutants. That is, your soil is getting polluted by pollutants. The pollutants are polluting the soil, and the soil, by throwing unwanted substances into the soil, so that is leading to the adverse effects on the microorganisms as well as living organisms. The throwing of pollutants or the throwing of unwanted and undesirable substances onto the soil, so that the soil is getting polluted, which is leading to the adverse effects on the organisms. The pollutants are in direct contact with the soil. When you are throwing them, the soil gets directly contacted with the, it undergoes, it will show a direct contact with the pollutants and the soil becomes polluted. Due to urban pollution, see here, due to urbanization, the pollutants are diversified. In the last class we have seen these diversified pollutants, they are released directly into the soil. They will be making a direct contact with the soil and it is completely damaging the soil. So the soil is getting polluted. So what are the sources of pollution? Sources of soil pollution. What are the sources of soil pollution? Soil pollution, first one is your industrial waste. Already we have discussed it. Industrial waste, they are nothing but organic, inorganic. These are the two different types of waste. These are non-degradable. They do not undergo any type of degradation. They remain in the environment for years together. And these are released from the tannery industry, next your textile industries, next chemical industries. From all these industries, these organic and inorganic pollutants are released into the soil indiscriminately, and these are causing pollution of the soil, and they bring change in the bacterial and the fungal population in the soil. Coming to the second source is domestic waste. This also we have already observed, seen. Domestic waste, or this can also be called as urban waste. Because of the urbanization and industrialization, the waste has been, that is the unwanted materials are diversified. What is that? They are thrown from the hospitals, hotels, restaurants, household, and chemical industries, from all the industries and household, along with hospitals, schools, restaurants. From all these areas, the waste is dumped into the soil, and the soil getting polluted. And these pollutants, due to changes in lifestyle and food habit, both domestic waste and commercial waste are released into the environment. This can also be called as a garbage. This can also be called as a trash also. In the last class, we have discussed it. Domestic waste or urban waste, or it can also be called as garbage or trash. This is released into the environment. This garbage contributes to soil pollution. Coming to the third one is your chemical pollution, or chemical pollutants, or metallic pollutants, or you can call them as metallic wastes. These chemical pollutants, these are released from almost all the industries. Name any industry like textile, dyes, soaps, detergents, drugs, fungicides, pesticides, weedicides, fertilizers, metal industries. From all these, after producing the product, the wastage is released or dumped without any discrimination. This is dumped into the soil and water directly, which causes health hazards in the living organisms. Coming to the fourth one is your agricultural pollutant. Agricultural pollutants. What are agricultural pollutants? These are nothing but, already we have discussed this, the pesticide DDT, that is dichloro diethyl tetrachloroethane. So dichloro diphenyl trichloroethane, this is DDT, which is nothing but it is a pesticide. It is used in the fields. Along with that, we are using fertilizers. Instead of your biofertilizers, we are using artificial fertilizers or synthetic fertilizers or chemical fertilizers. And these fertilizers, when they are indiscriminately used in the fields to increase the yield and to kill the pests and weeds, then this will be entering into the soil. From the soil, it will be entering into lakes and ponds, that is, and rivers. From the lakes and ponds, it is entering into phytoplanktons. In the last class, we have seen this enters into zooplanktons, and from zooplanktons to fish, from fish to birds, from fish and birds to humans. And its concentration increases enormously. This is known as biological magnification or biological amplification. When it is 10 mg in the fertilizer you are in the soil, it will enter into lakes, and when it enters into phytoplanktons, it will be 10 mg only. It increases to 100 mg, it increases to 1000 mg, 10,000 mg, and increases to 1 lakh. That is, this concentration of the product will be increasing in our human body. That is, at each and every tropic level in the environment, the concentration of that particular chemical, agricultural waste or agricultural pollutant increases, that leads to serious health hazards in the human beings. This is known as biological magnification or bioamplification. Now this bioamplification, it is not only damaging the human health, it is also damaging the soil by reducing the humus in the soil. The topmost beneficial bacteria will be killed and humus production is reduced. Along with that, the mineral consumption or mineral absorption of the soil is reduced, so that the soil becomes unfertile. Now coming to the next one is your fifth pollutant is radioactive pollutant. Radioactive pollutant. What are radioactive pollutants? These are the pollutants that are released from that are coming from substances coming from nuclear or thermal plants, from the explosions of scientific laboratories. These are released. Along with that, these are released from the hospitals. Hospitals నుంచి ఎట్లా రిలీజ్ అవుతున్నాయి అందరికీ తెలుసువి. మనకి రేడియో యాక్టివ్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ ఎక్కడెక్కడి నుంచి రిలీజ్ అవుతున్నాయి? థర్మల్ పవర్ ప్లాంట్స్ నుంచి, న్యూక్లియర్ పవర్ ప్లాంట్స్, substances coming from nuclear power plants, thermal power plants, and explosions of the in the laboratories, scientific laboratories. This all of you know. From the hospitals also they are released. From where they are released? From the hospitals. For cancer patients, they will be giving radiotherapy. In that radiotherapy, you will be using radioactive elements. And these radioactive elements, after usage, a small amount of radioactive element will be left over in that, and that will be thrown away. That disposing that radioactive element after radiotherapy of a cancer patient is very carefully you have to dispose it. If not, it will cause serious health hazards. So from hospitals also, these radioactive pollutants are released, and they will be entering into the soil, and they are non-degradable in the soil. They remain in the soil for long periods, and they create soil pollution, which leads to malformation of organs, diseases in humans and animals. That means the organs of the infants, they in the fetus, that is in the uterus, the fetus is not well developed. Formation of organs is reduced. Next, in infants, the bone formation is reduced, so that the malformation of the bones, they will be showing rickets or your arthritis, or sometimes polio like limb malformations will be observed. And next is not only that, malformation of organs and diseases in humans and animals is observed due to this radioactive pollutants. Next one is the municipal pollution. Municipal pollutants. This also we have discussed. This municipal pollutants can also be called as garbage or trash. This is released from the household garbage, from the kitchen. That is, kitchen waste is nothing but your municipal waste. Along with that, the sugarcane trash. అంటే మనం ఏంటి, చెరుకు రసం తాగుతాం. ఆ చెరుకు రసం తాగిన తర్వాత మిగిలిపోయిన పిప్పి వాడి దగ్గర ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, that sugarcane trash is also a municipal pollutant. Next one is, it is mining, the mining industries, coal mining industry. Next, your all the ores which are from all those ores and mines also, the waste is released, and that also becomes your municipal waste. This municipal waste also leads to soil pollution. Next one is, seventh one is your deforestation. This all of you must write. Very simple one. What is deforestation? This deforestation and soil erosion. Deforestation is cutting the trees. All of you must be knowing this. When forests are cleared for development purpose or for urbanization to meet the demand of the population along with wood supply, these forests are cleared. When forests are cleared, then what happens? The photosynthetic capacity of the plants will be reduced. Oxygen release will be reduced. Next, starch production will be reduced. All these will lead to pollution, air pollution. Not only air pollution, as we are talking about the land pollution or soil pollution, when forests are cleared, then the superficial soil there, that is the uppermost soil, gets eroded. because the trees will hold the superficial soil with their root system, so that the soil will be fertile and it will be safely guarded by the roots. But once the forests are cleared and the area becomes dry, then the soil gets eroded because of high winds and flooding. When the soil will become loose and the soil becomes barren, and it will be removed because of the high winds and rain, and the soil gets eroded. Once the soil gets eroded because of the lack of trees, the fertility of the soil will be exhausted or completely. There is no soil fertility for that soil. This is also one type of soil pollution. Coming to the next one, that is effects of soil pollution. What are the effects of soil pollution? The chemicals that are released into the soil. See here, when chemicals are released into the soil by the industries, see here. Industries are releasing chemicals, and these chemicals are entering they're released into the soil. From the soil, they reach the underground soil. See here, they reach the underground soil, and this underground soil and water, this gets contaminated. The underground water, which we call it as a pure water, that water itself, the underground water becomes, the water that is underground water becomes polluted with these chemicals. This is the first effect. Second effect is chemicals such as nitrogen, potassium. They are regularly used by the farmers in the form of fertilizers. When they use this in small portions, they will be benefiting the crops. They will help in the increasing the yield of the crops when they are used in small amounts. When they are irresponsibly, they are using them in larger amounts. Only small amount is absorbed by the plants to increase the yield of the crop, but rest of the thing that will enter into the soil. See here, larger part of nitrogen and potassium fertilizers will enter into the soil, and from the soil it enters into the water, that is your lake, ponds and rivers. When it enters into this, the aquatic organisms like fish will die. That is, it reduces aquatic organisms like fish, crocodiles, next your toads, all these will be reduced due to lack of oxygen. There is no oxygen in the water which is contaminated with nitrogen and potassium. Due to the lack of oxygen supply, the aquatic organisms like fish, they will die. And next is, it will leads to the growth of algae. It will leads to algal growth, that is algal blooms are produced, seen on the soil, and the water VOD increases. VOD of water increases. When it's VOD of water, that is biochemical oxygen demand or biological oxygen demand, when VOD of water increases, this is nothing but your water pollution. That means indirectly, the soil pollution will lead to water pollution by increasing the growth of algae in the water. Algal blooms are grown, and which will absorb the entire oxygen, so that the BOD of this water increases, which is an indication of water contamination of water, that is leads to water pollution. Now coming to the next application, next effect is due to excessive usage of fertilizers and pesticides, they will enter into the soil, which decreases the soil growth. That is, soil microorganisms are reduced. These microorganisms, what they will do is, they will make the soil fertile. These soil microorganisms, they will make the soil fertile, but these soil microorganisms are reduced because of fertilizers. Next, fourth effect is due to deforestation. Already we have discussed it. Due to deforestation, the topsoil gets eroded, so animals are forced to move to other localities for shelter and food. Some animals cannot withstand the climatic changes and die. This leads to extinction of some species. Coming to the next one, in humans, due to land pollution, leads to breathing disorders, skin diseases, birth defects, that is malformation of organs, and it also leads to cancers. These are the effects of your land pollution. Coming to the measures, that is control measures of your soil pollution. What are the control measures of soil pollution? First one is the waste from various industries should be properly treated before dumping. First is from the industries, the waste which is released from the industries, it should be properly treated, and then only it will be released into the dumping of that into the soil and water. Coming to the second one is biofertilizers should be used. Instead of your chemical fertilizers. Biofertilizers should be used instead of chemical fertilizers. Next one is coming to the third one is use of toxic and biodegradable material like plastic should be discouraged. Plastic usage should be reduced. Okay, plastic usage should be reduced. Next one, recycling and reuse of solid waste. That is, you have to recycle the soil waste. Soil waste should be reused. It should be recycled and reused. Next control measure is use of toxic and biodegradable plastic should be discouraged. Next is trees should be planted. Trees should be planted. Why trees should be planted? They not only they are the lungs of the earth. Not only that, they will help in the reducing the environmental air pollution. By undergoing photosynthesis and respiration, they will be releasing oxygen, and oxygen concentration in the atmosphere will increase. That is reducing the air pollution. We are talking about the soil pollution. So in this soil pollution, when you are planting the trees, soil erosion can be reduced. That soil cannot be eroded. We can stop the erosion of the soil, fertile soil or superficial soil. There should be a strict, and sixth one is the most important thing is there should be strict enforcement of environment pollution laws. That is, the government should be very, very strict to enforce the environmental pollution laws. The laws should be strictly implemented to protect the soil. These are the different control measures, and there are many other things. If you know some other, you can add to my notes. This is about your controlling of land pollution. So today we have seen both air pollution as well as soil pollution. So land pollution can also be called as soil pollution. And this soil pollution, sources of soil pollution are, first one is industrial waste, second is domestic or urban waste, third one is chemical or metallic waste, next is agricultural pollutants, radioactive pollutants, municipal pollutants or garbage or trash, and deforestation and soil erosion. And coming to the effects, we have discussed 5 effects of soil pollution. Next is what are the control measures. Here also we have discussed 6 control measures of soil pollution. This air pollution and soil pollution, they can be expected for long answer questions. Air pollution is a very, very important long question. In that, the most important short question is greenhouse effect or greenhouse gases or global warming. This might have taught by your Murali sir. In global warming, Greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide. See here, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, and nitric oxide. These are the 5 greenhouse gases, and one more gas is left over, that is your methane. Methane will be dealing it during your biogas plant that is production of a biogas. In that you will be discussing about the methane. Methane is also one of the most important greenhouse gas. So when greenhouse gases are asked for your short question, you have to discuss about all these 6 gases, which are very, very dangerous gases released into the environment, which leads to greenhouse effect and finally leads to global warming. So today we'll stop here, and in the next class we'll meet again. And with this we have completed 2 types of pollution. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about the water pollution. And if anything is left over, we'll see tomorrow. If you have any doubts, you can post me in my WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you, students.